Pain and suffering. They touch all of us at some point, don't they? When we're in it, it feels so heavy, so personal, as if life itself is against us. But what if I told you, your suffering does not define you, that you don't have to identify with it? Alan Watts once said, "You are under no obligation to be the same person you were 5 minutes ago." Suffering is a universal experience. Whether it's heartbreak, loss, fear, or uncertainty, we all encounter moments when life feels overwhelming. But suffering often becomes heavier when we identify with it, when we say, "This pain is me, this sadness is who I am." It's as if we wear our pain like a badge, carrying it everywhere we go. Alan Watts invites us to see suffering differently. He reminds us that while pain is real, it is not permanent. It is a passing experience, like a storm that rolls through the sky. And here's the key. You are not the storm. You are the sky. Life, as Alan Watts described it, is like a game or a play. It's full of joy and sorrow, triumph and failure, light and dark. But here's the thing. The game only becomes unbearable when we take it too seriously, when we believe that every setback, every painful moment is the whole story. Watts reminds us that suffering is just one part of the play. It's a role we temporarily inhabit, not the essence of who we are. Just like an actor on a stage, we can experience the pain of the role we're playing, but we don't have to mistake ourselves for the character. When we identify with our suffering, we trap ourselves in a loop. We say, "I am broken, I am unworthy, life is against me." These thoughts become a kind of prison, closing us off from the freedom and joy that still exist all around us. But what if you could step back? What if you could see your suffering not as who you are, but as something you're experiencing, like a wave passing through the ocean? You see, the ocean doesn't cling to its waves. It lets them rise, crash, and dissolve back into its depths. And you too are like the ocean, vast, unchanging, and capable of holding all the storms without being defined by them. So how do we stop identifying with our suffering? It begins with presence. Take a moment, breathe deeply, close your eyes and notice the sensations in your body. Notice the sadness, the anger, or the fear, not as something you are, but as something you feel. Say to yourself, "This is not me. This is a moment passing through me." Watch it, observe it, but don't hold on to it. Alan Watts reminds us that suffering only clings to us when we hold on to it. When we let it flow like water through open hands, we begin to see that it's not permanent and it's not personal. Here's another way to see suffering, not as an enemy, but as a teacher. As Florence Scovel Shinn said, "Challenges are part of life's game because they help us grow. They invite us to trust, to forgive, to align with something greater than ourselves." Alan Watts said suffering teaches us to let go, to stop clinging so tightly to the idea that life must always be perfect. It shows us the beauty of impermanence, the way every moment, good or bad, eventually gives way to something new. When we stop identifying with our suffering, something extraordinary happens. We begin to see that we are not our pain. We are the awareness behind it. We are the stillness, the presence, the vastness that holds it all. This doesn't mean life will never feel hard again, but it does mean that even in the hardest moments, there is a space within you untouched by pain, where freedom and peace always exist. Alan Watts said, "The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance." Even in suffering, there is a dance. And you, my friend, are not the dancer. You are the dance itself. So the next time you find yourself in the midst of suffering, pause. Take a deep breath and remember, this pain is not who you are. It is a wave and you are the ocean. Let it rise, let it fall, and trust that in time it will dissolve. Thank you for being here. If this message resonates with you, share it with someone who might need to hear it. And remember, you are not your suffering. You are so much more.